It is it's a profoundly weird time to be alive when you really sit back and think about it.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, just the technology we casually toss into our bags every single day. We're all walking around with these high-definition 4K and sometimes even 8K optical marvels just right there in our phones. We essentially have absolute visual perfection right at our fingertips.
Right. I mean, it's the kind of pristine resolution and dynamic range that, well, legendary Hollywood directors 50 years ago would have completely sold their souls to get their hands on. We've basically engineered our way to total optical clarity.
We have. We spent decades collectively as a society trying to invent our way out of grainy, blurry images. And yet there is this massive booming trend where people are deliberately choosing, like actually paying premium prices, to have their most important once-in-a-lifetime memories recorded with heavy film grain
Yeah, the grain, the unpredictable light leaks.
and the blurry motions. Like we are practically running away from the exact perfection we worked so hard to build.
It really is a fascinating paradox, you know? We finally secure the pristine image, and our immediate, almost biological reaction is to want the flaws back.
Yeah, which makes no sense on paper.
Exactly.
Well,
But it suggests something really profound about what we actually value in an image versus what, say, tech companies tell us we should value.
and that paradox is our mission for you today. We are taking a deep dive into a massive debate happening right now in modern filmmaking, specifically focusing on the pressure cooker environment of wedding videography.
A very high-stakes environment.
Oh, incredibly high stakes. We are pitting vintage Super 8 film against clean digital cinematic film. And our sources today include a pretty comprehensive industry guide that breaks down the aesthetics, the costs, and the storytelling impacts of these formats.
Right, but we also have a more grounded source, don't we?
Yeah, to keep things grounded, we're pulling heavily from a brilliant YouTube vlog by a 23-year-old photographer from the channel In Your Face.
Mhm.
She gives us an unfiltered, totally exhausting look at the day-to-day reality of actually trying to capture these moments in real time.
Which is so valuable because while on the surface this might sound like a niche debate about, what filter to use on your wedding video, it's actually so much bigger. This is a lens, pun fully intended, into the psychology of visual storytelling.
Oh, I love that.
It's about how we choose to document our lives, the actual neurological function of human memory, and frankly, what we subconsciously crave when we look back at our own history.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the disruptor here, which
Uh-huh.
is, ironically, the oldest piece of tech on the table.
Mhm.
For anyone who isn't a massive film buff, give us the breakdown on Super 8, because this isn't just an Instagram filter we're talking about.
No, it's a physical mechanical reality. So Super 8 is a motion picture film format that was introduced by Kodak back in the 1960s. And the crucial context here is that it was engineered for the amateur. It was the consumer format of its day, designed for backyard barbecues, family vacations, birthday parties, that sort of thing.
Right, the classic home movie vibe.
Exactly. It came in these little plastic cartridges that you just popped into the camera. But today, professional videographers have resurrected it entirely because of its nostalgic charm. The appeal is quite literally built on its mechanical imperfections.
I really want to break down those imperfections because the guide we're looking at lists things like light leaks and flickering as literal selling points.
Yeah, features, not bugs.
Right. So let's explain the why behind that. Because a light leak isn't a digital effect you apply later on a computer. How does a light leak actually happen physically inside the camera?
Well, it comes down to the physical nature of the medium. A light leak happens because the physical plastic cartridge holding the film isn't always perfectly light tight.
Oh, interesting.
Especially when a videographer is, frantically swapping out cartridges in the middle of a sunny field. Ambient light from the sun physically bleeds past the seal and strikes the chemical emulsion on the edge of the film strip.
Wow.
So it chemically burns those flashes of brilliant orange, red, or yellow right into the negative. You can't predict it, and you certainly can't undo it.
And what about that iconic, subtle flickering? Like when you watch old home movies, the brightness kind of pulses up and down constantly.
Ah, yeah, that is the mechanical shutter of the camera. So modern digital cameras often use electronic shutters that capture a continuous stream of light. But a vintage Super 8 camera has a literal physical blade spinning around inside it.
Right, really? A spinning blade.
Yeah, physically blocking and unblocking the light, usually 18 times a second. That mechanical opening and closing is what creates that distinct rhythmic pulse you're talking about.
Is wild. It honestly makes me think of listening to a vintage vinyl record.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Right. Because if you pull up a digitally remastered track on your phone, it is technically flawless. You hear every single note with this clinical isolation. But when you drop a needle on a vinyl record, you get the physical friction.
You get the pops and the hiss.
Yeah, you get that slight crackle, the warmth.
Yeah.
It feels alive. It feels like there is a physical, tactile presence in the room with you, which the sterile perfection of a digital track just, well, it completely lacks.
What's fascinating here is that tactile presence you're describing is the core of what the industry calls the emotion-first argument. Super 8 doesn't just act as a security camera objectively recording an event, it captures an atmosphere.
Right, it has a mood.
Exactly. And if you think about the biological reality of human memory, when you recall a deeply emotional moment from your childhood, you don't remember it in crystal clear edge-to-edge 4K resolution.
No, definitely not. I usually remember like one specific detail and everything else is just a blur.
Exactly. The human brain discards peripheral details. Memory is dreamy, it's fragmented, it's soft around the edges. It focuses entirely on the feeling rather than the clinical data of the room.
That makes so much sense.
And Super 8, with its soft focus and organic motion blur, perfectly mimics how our brains actually process and store memories. The source guide notes it is incredibly effective for highly intimate moments.
Like a couple reading private vows, maybe?
Yes, or a parent's immediate reaction seeing the bride. The slight blur and warmth strip away the distracting details and force you to focus entirely on the emotion of the subject.
I see how aesthetically it's just tailor-made for those rustic, boho, or vintage-inspired garden celebrations. It just melts into that environment.
It really does.
Like, think about your own camera roll for a second, or, a shoebox of family photos in the closet. The images that truly hit you in the chest aren't usually the perfectly lit selfies you took at brunch last week.
Right. Those are disposable.
Exactly. It's
Right.
almost always a slightly faded, maybe somewhat blurry Polaroid of your parents in their 20s. The degraded quality of the image actually signals to your brain, hey, this is precious because it is fleeting.
Beautifully put. The medium itself becomes a character in the story. It communicates history and survival.
Okay, but if Super 8 is this biological match for human memory, and it delivers this massive emotional payload, well, we have to confront the other side of this debate.
We do.
Why is modern, clean, digital video still the absolute heavyweight champion of the industry? I mean, if digital is so sterile, why is everyone still using it?
It comes down to reliability, environmental adaptability, and the sheer power of precision. Modern digital wedding cinematography relies on tools like the Red Komodo, the Sony FX series, or high-end mirrorless cameras.
Right, the heavy hitters.
These are technological marvels shooting in 4K, 6K, or even 8K resolution. And while the emotional argument for film is incredibly strong, digital sensors solve the absolute nightmare scenarios of live event production.
Like what? Give me an example.
Lighting. Lighting is the biggest one. Imagine a wedding reception. The sun goes down, the venue dims the overheads, and you have nothing but a few candles on the tables and maybe a DJ's strobe light.
Oh, that sounds tough to film.
That environment is a death sentence for physical film. Chemical film needs a massive amount of light to expose an image properly. If you shoot Super 8 in a dark room, you just get muddy, unintelligible shadows.
Just a black screen, essentially.
Pretty much. But a modern digital sensor can practically see in the dark. It amplifies available photons with incredibly low noise, ensuring you actually capture the first stamp instead of just, silhouettes.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me, though. As I was going through the source material, I couldn't shake this feeling about 8K resolution. Doesn't that level of clinical precision sometimes feel a bit, I don't know, commercial?
How do you mean?
Like, if I am watching a romantic film of my own family, I don't know if I want to see every single microscopic pore on my uncle's face, or the exact threading on the tablecloth with surgical clarity. Doesn't the hyper-reality of digital occasionally ruin the romance?
Oh, the Super 8 enthusiasts would fiercely agree with you. They argue that perfect imagery looks like a luxury car commercial, not a family heirloom.
Right, it feels like an ad.
But we have to factor in the modern reality of event planning, which is highly driven by aesthetics and massive financial investment.
True, weddings are not cheap.
Far from it. Couples are pouring tens of thousands of dollars into stunning luxury venues, elaborate floral installations, custom lighting, and editorial-style decor.
That's a huge investment.
Exactly. And if you are financing a visual masterpiece, you don't want it documented purely as a soft, blurry dream. You want the receipts.
Oh, you want to see what you paid for.
Yes. Yes. You need digital precision to capture those sweeping drone shots of the historic estate, or the intricate details and the table settings. Digital filmmakers argue that storytelling is actually enhanced when the viewer can appreciate the refined, luxurious reality of the day exactly as it was built.
So we have this stark ideological divide.
Mm.
On one side, we have artistic, nostalgic emotion prioritizing the feeling. On the other, we have high-tech, luxurious precision prioritizing the reality.
It's a tough choice.
I was trying to wrap my head around how you choose between them, but then I dug into the logistics and the budget breakdown in our sources, and I've got to say, the economics of this are completely counterintuitive.
They really are. Most people assume vintage technology equals budget friendly.
Exactly. I mean, you'd think that a clunky 1960s camera would be the cheap option, and the cutting-edge 8K cinema camera would cost an absolute fortune.
Yeah.
But Super 8 is significantly more expensive to shoot.
By a wide margin.
The hidden costs are wild. Walk us through the actual supply chain of shooting physical film today, because it blew my mind.
Yeah, the logistics of genuine Super 8 are a grueling physical reality. First, the videographer has to source and purchase actual rolls of Kodak film stock. Because so few companies manufacture it, it's very expensive.
Okay, so just buying the raw materials.
Right, but the cost of the raw film is just step one.
Yeah.
After the event, you can't just plug an SD card into a MacBook. The videographer has to physically mail those exposed rolls to a specialized laboratory.
Where it goes through literal chemical bath.
Yes, they have to pay for the toxic chemical processing to actually develop the negatives. And then there's a third expense.
Wait, there's more.
Yeah, paying for a specialized machine to scan those tiny physical frames into high-resolution digital files so they can finally be edited.
Oh my gosh.
Every link in that physical supply chain adds dollar signs. But beyond the money, there is an even more terrifying logistical hurdle, which brings us to the YouTube video from In Your Phase.
Yes, the 23-year-old videographer. Her vlog was incredibly eye-opening because it strips away all the romantic hipster aesthetics and shows you the sheer panic of the job.
Absolutely. And the most crucial detail she highlights is time. A standard Super 8 cartridge only holds about 50 feet of film. At 18 frames per second, that gives the shooter a maximum of about 3 minutes of recording time per cartridge.
3 minutes. I really want to pause on that because it's so hard to conceptualize in the smartphone era. Shooting a wedding on Super 8 is like being asked to deliver an incredibly emotional, comprehensive speech, but you are strictly limited to exactly 50 words.
That's a great analogy.
Every single word has to be perfect. You cannot waste a single syllable.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. You absolutely cannot leave a Super 8 camera rolling during a 20-minute best man speech hoping to catch a spontaneous reaction shot.
Right, you'd blow through your entire budget.
Exactly. The medium demands extreme intentionality. The videographer has to anticipate a laugh or a tear a split second before it actually happens, pull the trigger, and then immediately stop.
In her video, there's this moment where you can visibly see the stress radiating off her. She talks about the physical reality of having to reload a camera.
Oh, the reloading is intense.
Imagine the bride is standing behind the doors, about to walk down the aisle, and the videographer realizes they only have 15 seconds of film left in the current cartridge. You can't just press a reset button.
No, you're doing manual labor.
You are prying open a camera door, ripping out a plastic block, fumbling with a new cartridge, making sure the film gate is aligned, all manually, all under immense pressure, while the most important moment of someone's life is literally ticking down. If you jam the camera, the moment is gone forever.
And if the lighting suddenly changes, say, a cloud covers the sun while you are shooting, you can't just fix it in post-production with a slider.
No safety net at all.
None. If you don't manually adjust the physical aperture ring on the lens in real time, the footage is permanently ruined.
Which completely justifies why professionals charge such a premium for genuine Super 8. You aren't just paying for the film stock, you are paying for their nervous system.
Yeah, it is so true.
You're paying for their ability to manage a high-stakes, high-stress mechanical process without ruining the day.
And you just have to contrast that with the digital workflow. A digital videographer can pop in a 512 gigabyte memory card, hit record, and literally walk away for 2 hours.
They could go get a coffee.
Basically. They have the safety net of capturing everything. They can digitally adjust exposure later, the turnaround times for delivery are incredibly fast, and there are no recurring media costs per wedding. For a couple wanting absolute peace of mind that nothing was missed, digital offers expansive security.
Given all those intense logistical constraints, it's no wonder the source